Here's exactly how I've dropped over 40 pounds of fat while doing zero cardio. Now, first off, I just want to preface that cardio is not bad. A lot of you guys are going to ask, well, Benji, isn't cardio super healthy? And yeah, it definitely is. It's very healthy for your heart to do this type of cardio. But a lot of people that come to me, they're just trying to drop fat. And what happens is they've tried cardio in the past and it hasn't exactly worked out how they want it to. So you could totally do it if you want to either help exercise your heart or if you just really enjoy a method of cardio. But if your main goal is fat loss, you totally don't need to. What I've noticed with a lot of people who have done all these crazy hours of cardio in the past and haven't seen the result they wanted is that what happens is they start doing cardio and they start seeing a little bit of results right away, but eventually it stops. And the reason why is because one, of course, their diet isn't in check, but two, they're doing all this cardio and it's actually teaching their metabolism to be more efficient while burning calories, but less efficient at burning calories when they're just at rest. And that's a problem because this means that every single week as your metabolism adapts, you have to do more and more cardio. Combine this with just prioritizing cardio and not prioritizing weights. And what happens is that you're not building muscle. So when you're losing muscle as you're losing weight as well, you're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle, and that slows down your metabolism. And it means you have to do even more cardio as well. This is not sustainable because you can't spend hours doing cardio like you're a professional athlete. You just don't have the time to do that. And most people will just not find it fun. If you're watching this video, you've probably tried countless cardio routines to look a certain way or drop a certain amount of fat. And for some of you, it might have worked, but you probably gained the weight back. And for another group of you, it might have worked to lose weight, but you didn't quite achieve the physique you wanted because you didn't build the muscle you wanted on top of that. And for others, you probably gave up after a few weeks because it's quite hard. Now, here's what I do instead. Okay, number one is that calories are everything. So if you don't have a good understanding of how many calories is required of you to maintain your body weight, that's where you have to start. Okay, so everyone has a certain amount of calories it takes to maintain their body weight. And in order to lose about a pound a week of fat, or just a pound in general, you'd have to eat 3,500 calories less per week or about 500 calories less per day. And that would be for about 1 pound. Now, there are two ways to achieve this. One, you could either burn more calories, 500 more to be exact, each day, or you could eat 500 calories less each day. You could also do a combination of the two things, and that's actually what I'm gonna explain to you guys. But the most important thing to understand here is that you first need to have an understanding of how many calories it takes to maintain your body weight, because that will set you on the right path going forwards. It'll allow you to not have to do all this crazy cardio, not restrict your favorite foods either. Now, in order to find how many calories it takes to maintain your body weight, there's a few things you could do. I'll start with the hardest one first. So that's just to track your body weight for 2 weeks and track your food that you're intaking for 2 weeks as well. And you could use a calorie tracking app like MyFitnessPal. There's many of them online for free. Now, this is the most accurate because you have 2 weeks of data so that there's not a lot of fluctuations. And with this data, you could very easily find out how many calories you ate on average across those 2 weeks, and then eating that many calories, did you go up in weight, stay the same weight, or go down in weight? And once you know this, it's very easy because if you went down in weight, you know it's a little bit more calories you need every week to maintain your weight, and vice versa. And then to maintain your weight, if you didn't go up or down, that's how many calories it is to maintain your weight. Another method is simply multiplying your body weight by 14. Do this and you'll find a number that is required of you to maintain your body weight. And then I just subtract 500 calories less than that, whether it's by moving more, which we'll get into, or eating less to achieve that. The last method is simply to look up an online calculator that will tell you what your maintenance calories are. You could simply Google maintenance calorie calculator, and there's a whole bunch of them, some of them better than others, honestly, but it will give you a rough estimate to start. And that will allow you to get started right away today. And if you were doing that, all you have to do is, if it's not fully accurate, you find that out in a few days, because start tracking your calories, start tracking your weight, and you'll be able to adjust your calories up and down based on what your weight's doing and how many calories you're eating. Now, that's just step number one. But if you remember, I kind of alluded to the fact that a lot of you guys who've tried cardio could have lost weight, but almost weighed less, but still had the same fat everywhere else because you lost muscle as well. And also that if you struggled to lose weight doing steady state cardio, that you probably lost muscle, and losing that muscle slowed down your metabolism and made things even worse for you. So tip number two to not do cardio and drop fat is actually going to be to build muscle. This is where most of your exercise time should be spent. Okay, how do you build muscle? Well, I'd start with resistance training in the gym. This is the easiest way to build muscle. You could start going 2 to 3 times a week, 45-minute to hour sessions long that work your entire body, prioritizing compound movements. Okay, a compound movement is a movement like a squat, a bench, a deadlift. It's simply just a movement that works multiple muscles or multiple joints through a certain range of motion. Okay, so if I was doing a bicep curl, I'm just working my elbow joint. But if I'm doing a bench press, my shoulders are going through a certain range of motion. So are my elbows, right? There's multiple muscles that are doing different tasks. I'm also abducting as well. Okay, so that there's different things there. Now, every pound of muscle that you have will burn significantly more calories than every pound of fat. And fat can't be replaced with muscle, but what can happen is you can lose fat and build muscle simultaneously. And what this is going to do is that as you lose body weight, typically what happens is that, and it's impossible to avoid altogether, the amount of calories it takes to maintain your body weight goes down. And when this happens, you have to eat less or move more in order to keep losing weight. This can be very difficult for a lot of people, especially if you feel like you have a slow metabolism. But the best way to mitigate or limit this as much as possible is just to keep packing on more muscle and being consistent with that. Not only does it have a whole other host of health benefits, but the more muscle you have, as you keep prioritizing keeping that muscle on your body and even building more, well, then your metabolism won't slow down as much and you won't have to move as much by doing all these crazy cardio workouts or just restricting your favorite foods in order to get where you want. Because if you have to do it in that way and diet that way to get to the body weight you want, well, then you're probably going to gain it back because it's unsustainable and you don't want to do that. Now, the last thing I recommend, and this is crucial, some people might call it cardio, you might not, is getting your daily steps in a day. All right, so I recommend for everyone to get 10,000 steps in a day. Everyone's going to be a little bit different on their needs and where they're at, but that's a great metric to aim for. And the beauty of getting steps in is that it can integrate with your lifestyle. It doesn't need to be a thing where you drive all the way to the gym, you get on the treadmill for 60 minutes and dedicate one session to that and then sit like a couch potato all day. Okay, like this integrates fully into what you're doing, depending, no matter what your job is, what your lifestyle is, what your occupation is, all these different things. So some recommendations I have to get some steps in if you're busy and you sit at a desk all day is, one is you could just allocate some separate time. That's the easiest one, right? Whether it's after work, before work, those are all great things. But you could also go on lunch break. You could take half of that time and you could get your steps in. Another thing you could do is if you're someone who's taking long calls all day and it's not required to be at your computer, you can take calls and get steps in that way. There's always the joke, I used to be in real estate, where me and some other people would burn like 10,000 calories just on one long call because we'd be moving all around the whole time, pacing back and forth like maniacs or even walking around the office building. Trust me, guys, there's plenty of ways to get these steps in. Instead of parking right next to the door where you're entering for your place of work or, a restaurant, whatever it is, park further away. I can't stand people that need to get a spot at the gym that's a second away from the door and then they're about to go in and do cardio anyways. They're fighting for a parking spot. Guys, you don't need to do that. Another thing is you could take the stairs instead of an elevator. That should be obvious, but it's not. Most people are going to take the elevator. So stop being a loser like all your elevator friends and walk up the stairs. But guys, realistically, for every 100 steps you take for the average size male, that's going to be about 50 calories burned. But the average person is only walking 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day. Sometimes it's even worse. So get to 10,000 steps and you're burning about 500 calories a day. And if you're already eating at the amount of calories you've established to maintain your body weight, just that 10,000 steps alone will pretty much get you to dropping a pound of fat per week. And then if you want to increase that a little more to about 1.5 pounds per week, all you have to do is limit your calories by 250. And there's still plenty of room in there to both hit your protein goal for the day and eat all your favorite foods. So if your main goal is fat loss, you do not, and I cannot stress this enough, need to do countless hours every single day of cardio that's not going to get you the result you want and that you don't even enjoy doing. So if you guys are watching this and you'd love to hit your fitness goals without doing any cardio whatsoever, then click the link down below that I'm going to leave for you guys on my personal calendar where I've set aside some time for you watching this video to meet with me and explore the prospect of working together so that we could get you the result that you want without having to do all these crazy workouts, all these crazy diets, and finally keep the weight off forever.